Morning and welcome to the new episode of Better Thyself segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. If you saw the TV series The Good Place, you might have seen the character Judy Anangoy, and he is defined by his inability to make even the simplest of decisions. He cannot choose what to eat. He cannot proclaim love for his soulmate. And the very idea of making a choice results in serious stalling. He is stuck basically what I'll call it a state of continued analysis paralysis. He's paralyzed whenever he has to decide anything. And then in the series we meet the guy in the afterlife and learn that his indecisiveness was the cause of his death. While standing in the street endlessly evocating which bar to visit with his best friend, an air conditioning unit from the apartment above falls on him and kills him. So that's the harm of not being able to take a decision. And I myself personally take a decision instantly. Actually, I'm notorious for that. And I have seen the people who are very, very strong-headed, and they take instant decisions. And we always think that the people who are undecisive indulge in dilatory tactics. But then, is it really bad to be undecisive? Coming back to the good place, Chitty, in one of the episodes says, you know the sound that a fork makes in the garbage disposal? That's a sound my brain makes all the time. So it sounds exaggerated, but you are not alone. Indecisiveness is a very common trait, and I've seen people who can't take instant decisions, and many times they are successful. So if you can't take a decision, you are not necessarily not smart. But if it becomes a habit, like Chitty, then of course this problem is linked to the problem of anxiety. But normally taking a decision or delaying taking a decision is basically a matter of judgment. And let's be very clear. Indecisiveness can be linked to the problem of anxiety. It protects you from common cognitive errors like confirmation bias. So when a person does finally come to a decision who's undecisive, is generally wiser than those who jump to a decision very too quickly. As I said, I'm an instant decision maker because I go by the gut feeling. And many a times, though in 100 cases it might be okay, or 99 cases, in one case it can be failure. So the trick is not to dilate, but to learn when to wait, when to break through the inertia, and what to hold back. And is it envy of the good? That's the question. Psychologists have various books. Their undecisiveness. And one of the most common questions, the frost indecisiveness. Indecisiveness is frosty. And this school of thought shows that indecisiveness is often a product of perfectionism. You want to be perfect. So if you're working in a job and you want to be perfect, it's fine, but all the time trying to be perfect can be harmful, as I said once. It's better to perform your job, which is 80% okay, rather than keep on waiting till you can achieve 100% results. The biggest problem with perfectionists is that they are scared of the shame of regret that may come by making a wrong decision, and that's why they can't decide. But if you can overcome that shame and utilize it to increase your capability, then there's no harm in delaying. But then indecisiveness, if it's eternal, never ending, it is bad. Like Hamlet's, to be or not to be, there's a question. And the frustration of taking a decision can bring some unhappiness at times in general. And if you see the life satisfaction, the people who do not take necessary decisions may not necessarily be happy because they can not take minuses easily. So on one side, the people who are delaying taking a decision might be and would be more successful. Let me be very frank with you. You know, I remember our kid was growing up, and when he would ask me something, I would say immediately yes or no. He would go to my wife and ask for the same thing, and she said, okay, we'll see. Neither committing yes, nor committing no. And it became very famous in the family. Well, if you want to put up a decision, immediately go to her. That doesn't necessarily mean she was bad, but she was putting off the instant reaction of the child, which is why the step. That's why I say, if you want to be smarter, take a decision. But if you want still to be smarter and be successful, then delay the decision, but not postpone it indefinitely. Now, indecision is often perceived as a negative trait, but may be surprising the advantages by taking your time. The research has shown that indecisiveness, which apparently is a wholly undesirable trait, at times has an upside. So, as I said earlier, if indecision means that you want to wait and delay till you are confirmed that what you're going to take is right, is perfectly okay. It's a trait imbalance. This ambivalence helps you get over your thoughts, which are often contradictory, and you are torn between the two sides of the same issue. And it happens. But it does breed one thing: you will be unpopular. People who take instant decisions are not popular because the people, there are two sides of coin, so the people who are against that decision you are taking will be against you. They say, well, you took immediate decision, you didn't give it a thought. And these statements resonate. But the people who give a thought, they say, well, how right thinking he is. So, for a beginner in a job, it's always better to wait, to think, to ruminate, and then take a decision. And once you reach that level, some people reach it right in the beginning of their life, some take time. So those high in the trait ambivalence take a longer time to make a decision. And they are less prone to the bias when coming to their judgment. Now, let me tell you, I take a decision, but then there's definitely a bias. So you meet a person, how would you like to find out whether he or she is extrovert or introvert? Which are the following two questions you would ask? I'm telling you how you can decide whether to take a decision or not. Do you like spending time at home alone, or do you like going to the parties? These two questions mean the same thing. But many people pick the second question because that's a confirmation of a bias. You are only looking for the information that agrees with your assumption, rather than looking for the evidence that you may be wrong. Do you like spending time at home alone? Can we assume that you can be wrong. You like going to a party, everybody wants to go to parties. So saying yes there is safer. So this assumption agreement is a populist decision. And this is an age of populism. See, all the leaders who are successful believe in populism. There was an experiment conducted by psychologists, and the participants in that experiment talked about an employee called, say, Mueller, who was seeking to get his contract renewed after making a preliminary decision whether to allow him to continue the role. The participants were given some additional statements that were from the industry experts about him. And some of the statements agree with the participants' initial decisions, others did not. Then they were asked to rate. And would you believe the people high on the ambivalence tended to be more open-minded to the statements that disagreed with their initial point of view and rated them more highly for the credibility importance, whereas those who showed little trait ambivalence discounted that. So these findings are important. So psychologically, not taking a decision may not necessarily be a bad idea. Now imagine for an instance that the people with high trait ambivalence are less prone to correspondence bias, which leads them to taking a decision or not taking a decision. And then another thing, indecision is a problem, but only when it becomes excessive. Delaying a decision within a time period set by yourself is perfectly okay. But delaying a decision which can be infinitely long delay is harmful. That is inaction. The general experience of being ambivalent needs to be embraced. It can give you necessary pause, signal to you that the things are complex and you need more time to engage in more careful thought about your decision. So that inaction makes people think that you are not smart. But really you are smarter when you are delaying a bit. It's like that. You are boiling something and when it starts simmering, you put the gas down, the energy down, so that it doesn't overflow. Same is about taking a decision. But then, as I said, when the weight becomes excessive, then it is problemsome. As with the most things, there has to be balance that needs to be struck, essentially. And that's what explains why indecisive people often tend to score lower on those measures of life satisfaction. Now what happens? Once you take an immediate decision, then other things start coming in. And then that decision, the delay, the gap, the pause becomes longer. So if you set a parameter about the decision to be taken, okay, let me think about it. But then, see, I've told this gentleman, or this person, or my boss, that I'll think about it. I will devote just 40 minutes, 50 minutes, one day, whatever, looking at the need, and then give your decision. But if you say, okay, let me think over it and something else comes up, and that's a human nature, that urgent things get priority over important things. And that's a very harmful thing. So you have to give a time limit for your final decision so that you do not spend much time on ruminating and thinking on different options without actually gaining the new insight. The purpose of delay should be to gain new insight, not to put the things in the cold storage. And if you feel paralyzed, you might find inspiration in what the University of Chicago did. They said that the people's overall happiness can be measured after making important life changes. Important life changes, if you delay, can be very troublesome. And many people, what they do is they toss a coin whether to take this action or that action. Now, that is a purely nonsensical for the simple reason. When you toss a coin, you don't know. You are ignoring your gut feeling and you are ignoring your brain, your faculty of thinking. But the coin has one benefit, that it acts as a little nudge to enable you to come over a decision. And as I said, any decision can be wrong, can be right. So a good rule of thumb is that whenever you cannot decide what you should do, choose an action that represents change. Here is important. If you can't decide, choose an action which will change, because change is always for the better. And once you learn that change is for the better, you would be gaining. So we can weigh up all the pros and cons of every situation. And abilities will help you make wiser choices. But the choices should be for the good. And if you can't decide anything, especially in the life-changing matters, make an instant decision to change. And people will think how smart you are. You have learned to cast aside, safe in the knowledge that you are starting anew. It's a life-changing thing. And that is going to make people feel that you are smarter. And that's what you want to be. Thank you.